Wow.
Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped. Something.
I wasn't expecting that either.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
Because I'm the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny. I haven't seen that before.
It feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things, of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
So, did you think of a part of yourself that you'd like to get to know better, or change your relationship, or anything that's been up for you, anything that's been getting in your way lately?
Yeah, this was pretty persistent. I'm trying to think of a way to phrase it. So when I meditate, I kind of visualize these different parts. I was just realizing, and there's this one that is. I'm trying to think of how to describe it. It's not exactly something I would call an inner child per se, but it's kind of like a softer, childish part that's I don't want to say it's who I blame for problems I have with boundaries, but it's definitely one more eager for human connection and is willing to override issues that I see with people that I, might otherwise have problems with. And, I don't want to disregard this part of me entirely, but, so over the past few months, I've been struggling with okay, so I don't want to make your voice the one that leads me, but you have something to say and you have needs, right, and I'm not meeting those needs. So that's why you're so persistent. So how can I meet the needs of this part of me without sacrificing being self-protective in the ways that are healthy? So, yeah.
So, a part of you wants to connect and is eager for that connection. And another part of you wants to keep you safe. Does that sound about right?
Sure. Yeah.
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 Okay. All right. So, if you like, we can focus on either of those parts, the part that wants to protect or the part that wants to connect. Which do you feel like needs your attention first?
I think the latter for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The one that wants to connect.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So focus on that part and see if you can notice where it is located in or around your body.
Definitely in the heart space, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the chest area. Yeah.
All right. And do you notice any other vibes about it? Any other sensations that come up when you turn towards it? Any other sensations?
Yeah, I'm noticing like a loosening or like a release of tension, like in the jaw area.
Okay.
And like in the gut, that's kind of releasing as well.
All right. So let's see, this feeling, I guess it starts in the heart, or sounds like it has a lot of different spaces. As you notice it, how do you feel towards it?
Intrigued, sort of tender in a way, like maybe in a caring, concern, sort of curiosity.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to know what it wants. That's for sure.
Great.
Yeah. And yeah, definitely a little protective.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so when you think about getting to know that part, you have other parts that are chiming in, like the protector part. Are there other parts that have like concerns about contacting this part or getting to know it?
I'm not getting a lot of that.
Okay. So yeah, see if you can again kind of just continue turning towards this part and let it know that you're curious about it, that you'd like to get to know it better. And then just ask it what it would like you to know about itself. And just wait for the answer.
Interesting. And you need me to say what it's saying, or?
You don't have to share anything with me that you don't want to, but I'm certainly curious, and it will help me to know what to go with next.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let me process real quick. Okay, so the first thing that came through was something about having fun. Just like I'm having fun, or I want to have fun.
Yeah.
But the other part that came through quite clearly was I'm more free than you think, which I think that's very interesting. So it's sort of very loose and like kind of joyful.
Yeah. And how do you feel when you just getting those answers from it? Like what comes up for you when you hear it saying that?
Honestly, a little surprised, kind of amused. I think I'm struck by, I think maybe only a few weeks ago I would have felt a little like unsettled but I'm really not getting a lot of that. So that is something that I feel like is maybe positive. Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds positive. So often in this work, people are really struggling with something, and the work is about kind of making peace with it. But it sounds like you're feeling positive towards it, and we can still get to know it. But it sounds like you're in a pretty good place with it. You could just try asking it more about what it wants and what you can do for it.
Yeah, definitely. And just thinking out loud before I do, I find that really interesting what you just said, because I find it curious myself, because I mean, I've done a lot of inner work recently, and I think I'm almost like not, I haven't been ready to admit that, like, oh, maybe things are okay. Maybe that's part of this, though, is kind of saying that, but I can also explore a little more just to see what's on the target.
You could ask the part if it has any concerns or fears, and you could also ask if there are other parts of you. Like, you could ask this part if there's other parts of you that are conflicting with it, and just see what's kind of in its way.
That's a good idea. All right. So not a ton of concerns. Although I think, yeah, the one thing that did come through was, shoot, I'm losing it. Okay, so it was more of a reminder, I think. One was, just listen to me more. I wish you would just listen to me more. And then the second part, I think, kind of clarified that it was like, I'm not about action, or I'm not about acting, I'm about being. Which I think is, yeah, just kind of a reminder.
Yeah.
Like, listening to that part of me isn't about, it doesn't want me to do anything. It just kind of wants me to be there. And nothing has to block that.
And does that make sense to you? I mean, does that resonate with you?
Yeah. It's just kind of, yeah, it absolutely does. I mean, like I said, I'm seeing it as kind of like this very free kind of childlike joyfulness. And I think that is just a state of being almost. that needs to be allowed to exist. It's not, saying anything is right or wrong around me. It's not a force that compels any kind of action. It's just kind of something that needs to be allowed to breathe. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And when we started the conversation, you talked about, perhaps, not having enough boundaries. So I don't know if you're getting clarity on any of that in this conversation, or if that's still a relationship that needs changing, and that this part is too free, for example, or it's in control in times when you would rather be protecting yourself, for example.
Yeah, I wonder if there is anything I can come to about that, because this conversation with it is making me sort of less concerned about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really sure what to make of that per se. I think there have been times in the past when it has been in control. So maybe the conversation about just being is important in that regard, but I could, try and ask it a little bit about that.
Yeah, you could ask it kind of like what it's afraid will happen if it doesn't take control. And maybe this is kind of a historical thing, but you could ask it what its concern is if it doesn't, lower that guard as much as it does, and if you were to have boundaries.
Oh, that's a really good question. I think the only questions that are coming is, are we going to still have friends? Are people going to think that we're mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And does that all make sense to you?
Yeah.
That kind of sentiment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you could check this out with this part. It sounds like it's wanting to protect you from not having friends, people thinking you're mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this might sound like a stupid question, and feel free to pass on it, but you could try to just get some more specifics on that and ask it, like, what would, just from its point of view, what would be bad about that? What would be the problem if this person or that person thought you were mean when you were needing to have boundaries? Or another part of you felt the need to have boundaries, or
yeah, I can ask that. Okay, it took a little probing. There's a little bit of I don't know. It's a little bit of not wanting to hurt people. And I think the one underneath that is not wanting to be alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, does it make sense to you? It makes sense to me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So let it know that it makes sense to you. Show it some appreciation for protecting you in that way from even if you have felt like it's gone too far. It still has that intention of wanting to keep from that pain of being all alone. Just see how it reacts to you're showing it appreciation for its intention.
It's definitely responding kind of like, I guess you'd expect like a child to. You appreciate them, they're appreciative of that. So.
Yeah, all people, right?
Yeah, all people, yeah.
And you might try asking it if you could change that, if you could heal. There's a part of you, it sounds like, that has this pain associated with being alone, which totally makes sense, right? But if you could work with that part, if you could heal that and change that so that this part wouldn't have to push so hard, wouldn't have to work so hard, and wouldn't have to drop those boundaries too much sometimes. What would it like to do instead inside of you? What other role might it like?
Wow.
If you could handle the part that it's protecting and make sure that doesn't become its burden anymore.
Oh, I see what you're asking. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great question. So I guess it sort of circles back to the beginning of the conversation. It's definitely more interested in the having fun component, trying to come up with ideas for fun things to do, and is very interested in that. Instead, I think there's like a level of the joy that comes from the connection to be sought there instead. I think that is like a very liberating thing. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but I think it makes a lot of sense to me because I think that's a part of my own brain that kind of gets locked up, but that is kind of shaking it loose. So I think that's really interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You might try asking it how old it thinks you are and just wait for the answer.
Okay. I'm getting a couple like teenage numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird to me. I'm getting like 15 or 17.
Yeah. It sounds like it has kind of a teenage energy to me.
Yeah.
This part. And I imagine by its answer, that is likely when it felt the need to kind of kick into high gear. There might have been times at that age when you were worried, particularly worried about loneliness, or maybe you felt rejected or something, and kind of had that, that push to connect even more. I don't know if any of that's right or wrong, but that's.
Yeah, there's definitely some resonance there. Like, a lot of this sort of boundary sacrificing in exchange for that. So, yeah.
Yeah, so let it know your real age.
Okay.
And just update it on the wisdom you have now as an older person, as a traveled person, and all the different things you've learned and how you've grown.
Okay. Again,
we're kind of trying to let it imagine that you can handle these other parts and the pain of possibly being alone without it coming in and pushing down the boundaries. Just by letting it know your real age. And finally, I would ask it what it needs from you in the future.
Okay. Getting to listen and to remember that life is really beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. That's all the questions I have for this part.
Okay.
So,
wow.
Send us some thanks for showing up and being willing to talk with you, and all those other parts. Any other part that you were alluding to, or that you had to ask. Like we talked about. The part that maybe wants to push back on this part and clamp down. Just thank any of those other parts that might have been witness to your work today.
Okay. Thanks.
And I think the deeper level, the kind of next step that you might do in another conversation would be to go to that that part that it's protecting, the part that is really worried about being alone. And that's likely an even younger part. And just, it's a similar process. It's a little more delicate and a little more vulnerable, of course, but it's similar. Just kind of meeting it and getting to know its story and updating it and seeing if you can find a new role for it or unburden it.
Yeah, that's definitely something I want to keep in mind. This is fascinating.
Yeah, I think so.
yeah. Thanks for being the guide, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah, it's my pleasure. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, it comes through. So, okay. So.
Okay. Yeah,
right.
I'll be in touch. I'll reach back out and invite you to come chat again. And if you want to, that's great. If not, that's fine too. I appreciate your time.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. Thanks so much, and thanks again for the roll in with the reschedule.
Yeah, sure. All right.
Yeah. All right. Take care. Hopefully talk soon.
Talk soon. Bye.
All right.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Zikri, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows, that might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.